Women's rights, our freedoms, democracy is on the line, and we have a choice. I mean, this is what I'm out there saying. We have a choice. We can have, you know, my husband who is calm and steady and strong and has character and integrity, or we have the other choice, which is chaotic.
That was First Lady Dr. Jill Biden on Good Morning America today, laying out the choice in this election: calm versus chaos. And the Biden-Harris campaign is hoping voters haven't forgotten Donald Trump's chaotic 4 years in office. According to recent polls, Donald Trump is performing better than President Biden. But listen, this is careful. I want you to listen carefully. But among poll respondents who are least likely to vote, Nate Cohn of the New York Times reports, quote, "The polls have shown Donald J. Trump with an edge for 8 straight months, but there's one big flashing warning sign suggesting that his advantage might not be quite as stable as it looks. That warning sign? His narrow lead is built on gains among voters who aren't paying close attention to politics, who don't follow traditional news, and who don't regularly vote. Trump's dependence on these voters could make the race more volatile soon. There's a chance that disengaged but traditionally Democratic voters could revert to their usual partisan leanings. Alternately, they might stay home, which could also help Biden." Joining us now for more is Simon Rosenberg, longtime Democratic strategist and the author of Hopium Chronicles on Substack. Simon, I was so excited to have this conversation with you, and I was telling Melissa, the executive producer, I normally don't look at polls at all. I'm like, you know what? I shun them from my own show. I don't want to do it. But what I found to be fascinating about this piece is, and this is what really stuck with me, Biden leads Trump by at least 4 percentage points among people who voted in both 2020 and 2022. So you have a combination of factors here, right, Simon? It's voters that are engaged, that actually go and exercise their right to vote, and also voters that are high information voters versus the Trump voters that are low information and or that don't do it. So dig a little bit deeper for the viewers and explain what's going on here.
So first of all, you would rather be ahead among the people that are most likely to vote in this election. So Joe Biden, and this is one of the reasons why I've been arguing that things are a little bit better than they look, is that, you know, among the people who are most likely to vote, Joe Biden does much better, and in some cases is actually winning the election. And I think the big question in front of us about these disengaged voters is, will they, once they decide to become a voter, as Jill Biden said earlier, the First Lady said, and the choice that's in front of them is presented to them, and they become informed. Will they stick with their slight Trump lean, or will they become Democrats and help Joe Biden win? My belief, and I think it's the belief of the campaign, is that those voters who are going to go through this process of becoming a voter and becoming more interested will have this choice thrown in front of them by our big muscular campaigns in these 7 states. And what we've seen in 2022 and 2023 and 2024 is that when voters are given this choice in elections of all kinds all across the country, they pick the Democrats and they don't pick the Republicans. And so I think that gets to the fundamental optimism that we have about the election right now.
So, Simon, I'm going to tee up a question to you that I do to many of the political analysts I speak with, which is, if you have firmly entrenched voters on both sides of the aisle, what's it going to take to make them converts? So do you just give them more information? Because I kind of feel like we put it out there, but it's not being consumed. So is there an answer?
Well, it's what happens with campaigns, right? I mean, what campaigns do is they put information into voters' heads that they don't already have, right? And what we saw in 2022, remember, we had this kind of extraordinary thing happen in 2022. We were all told a red wave was going to come, and that, you know, we had high inflation, low Biden approval, was going to be a disastrous election for the Democrats. But we had these big muscular campaigns that went into the battleground states. We controlled the information environment. We educated voters. We used that money to push our performance to the upper end of what's possible. That same exact process that worked so well for us in 2022 is about to happen in many of these same states in 2024. And so we have enormous tools to overcome the big right-wing noise machine and all the bluster of the day-to-day. And it's called a campaign. And this campaign is going to have unprecedented resources, an unprecedented set of volunteers who are going to be working all across the country to bring our story and present that choice that Jill Biden talked about to voters. When we've done that, we win they lose. I still think that's the likely scenario in 2024.
Simon, I got probably about 30 seconds, but I wanted to bring up this number, which was interesting. Biden holds a nearly 20-point advantage among Latino voters who voted in all 3 past elections. And with black voters, Biden's lead is 80 points among those who participated. So it looks like it's almost regardless of communities, it's actually engagement that makes a difference.
Right, because if you think about it, right, engagement means that you're actually considering what's in front of you. You're making a choice. You're educated. And so those voters that are not yet checked in, will they go through the same process that all these other voters that are checked in will go through? And will they become more democratic? I think that's the likely thing that's about to happen. And I think that's why there's this quiet confidence in the Democratic Party right now.
Well, and then people need to become high information voters, and they need to read the Hopium Chronicles by Simon Rosenberg so they know exactly what's going on, right?
Absolutely,
Thank you for
Katie.
being here, Simon. I appreciate it.
Good to see you.